Belphemon is here and is currently sleeping, so be careful not to wake it up, otherwise it will turn very angry and things will go really bad. Digimon fans, welcome back, and today we'll be showcasing the brand new Belphemon deck. Belphemon is part of the 7 great demon lords of the digital world, and don't be fooled by this cute little guy while it's sleeping, because it will bring nothing but destruction as soon as it awakens and turns into rage mode. The Gizmon archetype was also introduced alongside from BT13, which helps facilitate the combos of helping you getting into your Belphemon easily. I'll be teaching you guys how to play the deck and explain how it all works in the combo segment later on, so let's get started with the deck profile first. Alright, like always, let's begin with our Digi-Egg cards. First, 4 copies of the BT3 Demi-Meramon, and then the 1 copy of Caprimon from BT13. Demi-Meramon is still one of the best purple Digi-Eggs to be playing for any purple-based decks in most cases, just because it has that on-deletion, trigger draw 1 and trash 1, setting up cards in your trash. Drawing cards and finding pieces that you need is always really what you're looking for. For the BT13, Caprimon has a on-deletion inheritable by trashing 1 card from your hand, delete one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. Really good at getting rid of like rookies and floodgates and everything else, which is always going to be super nice for you. And playing 5 Digi-Egg cards for this particular build is just super important because you're going to be cycling through your Digi-Egg cards very quickly, and purple tend to be a late game type of deck all the time. I'm super excited to be making a bunch of other new BT13 decks, and if you guys want to see all the upcoming videos, then be sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell right now to stay tuned. I actually already also posted a bunch of BT13 deck lists on the Avault Club membership tab, so if you want to see them right away, join the Avault Club right now by clicking on the join button or in the link in the description box down below. Also give this video a like while you're at it, and I greatly appreciate the support from all of you. Okay, so moving on, next we're going to be doing something a little bit unusual, and that is because we're just going to start off with our Gizmon package in particular, where we play 4 copies of Proto Gizmon right here, and 4 copies of Gizmon AT, and as well as the 4 copies of Gizmon XT. This is the main package that you're going to be playing to synergize with your entire Belphemon line, which is super crucial, and you definitely want to be seeing all these cards as often as possible. Starting from the level 3 Proto Gizmon, all these Gizmon cards have a similar effect with one another. All turns, this Digimon can't Digivolve, but instead you'll be deleting one another to sort of reduce the play cost, so then you can climb through it that way instead. So starting with Proto Gizmon, there is a really unique effect where when you would play this card from your hand, by deleting one level 2 Digimon in your breeding area, you reduce the play cost by 2, effectively being a 1 cost. Now all of them have on-play effects where Proto Gizmon gives you draw 1, trash 1, so you're keeping a really good hand count, which you always want to be limiting your hand size in this particular build. And with Gizmon AT, it does the same thing where on play you draw 2 and trash 2, so cycling through cards again, just really important. Now, for Gizmon XT, it doesn't draw you cards, but it itself has blocker, so it's pretty beefy, pretty strong, and with its on play, it lets you play Akihiro, which is your main tamer of the deck that you want to be seeing as often as possible, and we'll talk more about him later on as well. Now, they all have on-deletion effects. Now, they all do fairly similar because by returning 2 Gizmon names in your trash, by putting it back to the bottom of your deck, you get to play one another out for free from your trash as well. So for Proto Gizmon, by returning 2 Gizmon cards, you get to basically play AT from your trash. And then when AT is deleted, you get to, cycle back 2 Gizmon cards into the bottom of your deck as well to play out Gizmon XT. And then the cycle continues. With Gizmon XT on deletion, it just straight out lets you play a Proto Gizmon back from your trash for free. So they continue the cycle again and again, so you will never be decking out with these cards because with their effects going out in and again, which is always really nice. Now, of course, you do eventually will deck out if you're drawing and trashing a lot of cards, but generally it's trying to help you to keep a cycle of them, which is just really crucial for this deck. And again, they're going to play a very important role later on when it comes to synergizing with your top end combos. The other really cool thing is that you don't necessarily have to delete Gizmons to play another Gizmon. You can just delete any level 2 Digi-Egg with Proto Gizmon. You can just delete any level 3 with Gizmon AT, and with Gizmon XT, you can just delete any level 4 Digimon. And just by doing that, again, that's how you kind of climb up through it, and it has a lot of synergy to help you with all your on-deletion effects. And that's basically the Gizmon package explained, which again, I'll show you guys more how it all works in the combos later on. So with the Gizmon package explained and out of the way, now let's begin to talk about our generic level 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s and moving on forward. So starting with our level 3s, 3 copies of Fastgomon right here. You guys can bump this up to 4, really based on your personal preference. Really good effect with on deletion, drawing 1, and trash 1. It has the inheritable of end of opponent's turn. Once per turn, you can draw 1 and trash 1 card from your hand. Really good for cycling once again, finding pieces that you need by drawing and trashing stuff that you want to set up for later on, which is super crucial. Then I still like to run 2 copies of the Gabumon from BT2. Simply on deletion, you draw 2 and trash 1. So a lot of value, can help you gain cards as well when it's on deleted, and you guys will see a lot of synergy with some of our other cards later on. Then to round it off, we do have playing 2 copies of Gizmon and 2 copies of Psychmon over here. Just generic Floodgate rookies that you can have for purple. Being able to sort of Floodgate against 2 different types of things is just really nice. Gizmon to stop any memory gain, Psychmon to stop any reduction play cost. Now keep in mind, I personally don't really like Psychmon in this deck because it can actually counter yourself, because it prevents all players from reducing play cost, and you actually do that a lot in this particular deck, other than just digivolving through a stack sometimes. Now the only reason why you kind of want to include this is because the current meta and the current format of BT13, there's a lot of cards that actually reduce play cost, so it becomes very crucial and mandatory for you to include this particular card in there to sort of have good matchups against those decks. And therefore, these cards are just really meta calls. Based on the ratios, just switch upon on what you personally prefer. And of course, when the meta changes, this will also just change these kind of Floodgate rookies overall. But keep in mind, when you're playing Psychmon, make sure that it doesn't stop you from, reducing your own play cost, and play at the right times if you need to. Then moving into our level 4s, we got the standard typical Gizmon package right here. 1 copy of the Gizmon, which is restricted, and of course the 4 scatter modes. Just again, really one of the best purple staple cards to have for any deck to help you cycle more cards, draw more stuff, and trash things. And so then again, you guys know how good this purple package really always is. Then for our level 5s, we got the 4 copies of Astamon right here. This one's the dedicated level 5 specifically for the Belphemon archetype and deck, because it has the on play and when digivolving effect. By deleting one of your other purple Digimon, this Digimon may digivolve into a Digimon card with Belphemon in its name from your hand without paying the memory cost. You can go into either sleep mode or rage mode with this particular card, but ideally getting into sleep mode is really what you want to go for. Again, I'll show you guys how it all works when it comes to the combos later on, but being able to digivolve for free, it also has a inheritable of opponent's turn. Once per turn, when a card is trashed from your hand, you get to play 1 level 4 or lower purple Digimon card from your trash without paying memory cost. Now, I do want to mention that this particular inheritable effect is just really good, because there's a lot of times that this effect can actually make and change the tide of the games depending on the situation. But we'll talk more about it later on, and I'll continue to explain why this card is just so good at a 4-up as well. But that's it for all of our level 5s. Let's get into our level 6s. Of course, first and foremost, we definitely have to play 4 copies of Belphemon Sleep Mode right here, which is our main boss Digimon of the entire deck. This one digivolves for 3 on top of a level 5 that's purple. Otherwise, you can digivolve for 1 from Belphemon Rage Mode. This is pretty cool because you can switch modes, and we'll get to show you guys more later on the combos again. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, this Digimon can't attack and isn't affected by your opponent's effects specifically. So it has a built-in protection for it, which is super nice. Then it has a secondary effect of opponent's turn once per turn. When the opponent's Digimon attacks by trashing 2 cards from your hand, you get to end the attack. So being able to have like a full coverage, completely protected with this particular card is how you want to be, sort of like stalling the game a little bit, or stalling for that one particular turn, and then you can go explosive right afterwards. And it's just really good. Again, really cool card, really nice. Then with Sleep Mode, we certainly have its counterpart, or its different version, 4 copies of Rage Mode. Now, it digivolves for 6 costs on top of a level 5, which is a lot to pay, and that's not really what you're trying to go for usually, because like we saw, you want to be sliding it underneath Sleep Mode. Now, start of your main phase, it deletes all your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. And then, if you have 6 or fewer cards in your hand, this Digimon gains extra 3000 DP and security +1 for the turn. Really powerful, aggressive move, very strong DP with 14k as well, and gaining that extra 3000 makes it 17. Making it incredibly strong and power, and you can just safely swing into your opponent's security in most cases, and without having to worry be deleted by security battle. Then it has a end of attack. Once per turn, by deleting one of your other Digimon, you can unsuspend it. So again, being hyper aggressive with this card, that's basically your main win condition. By getting into this guy, and you get to do a lot of checks, lots of damage with it, that's how you win games. Then it actually has a inheritable being a level 6, which has the main synergy with Sleep Mode. At the end of opponent's turn, if this Digimon is Belphemon Sleep Mode, you trash the top card of that Digimon. That's sort of how you mode change from Sleep Mode into Rage Mode. And by doing so, this is how you get to pop off and get into this guy, and super strong card. And just once again, want to quickly point out how cool the Alt-Art Rage Mode really is. I had to get it for this particular deck profile just because how realistic, and I love Nautica with their illustrations right here. Super hyper realistic, and yeah, definitely a 4 of in my own recommendation. Then to round off for all of our level 6s, we play the 2 copies of Nidhoggmon right here from BT7. You guys might be wondering why we play this particular card. Now the whole reason is we're actually not going to be usually trying to Digivolve into this guy. Honestly, if I can play more copies, I definitely really want to. And the reason why we play this card is because we trash so many cards in our hand, especially when it comes to our opponent's turn, we can disrupt their turn. And by trashing this card, we gain a memory. A lot of the times our opponent can't see this coming, and it's almost like a hand trap effect, and they totally don't see it. By gaining that memory, you can pass turn, you can limit their plays, and it just has a really cool surprise element. It does have a when Digivolving effect if you ever feel like you really need to get into it for, extra value and advantages by deleting a level 4 Digimon, by trashing a card from your hand. But again, like I mentioned, you really want to just be keeping this particular card in your hand in most cases of the time. That's it for all of our Digimon. Let's now talk about our Tamers. You definitely need to be playing 4 copies of Akihiro Kurata right here. For 3 memory costs, your turn when a Digimon with Belphemon in its name would be played by deleting one of your Digimon with Gizmon in its name, you get to reduce the play cost by that deleted Digimon. And this is the whole entire idea of climbing through your Gizmon stack, because the higher level Gizmon you have, the more you can reduce the play cost of your Belphemon, and which is why this card is incredibly crucial to help you get into your Belphemon as its main strategy. It has a secondary effect. End of opponent's turn. Once per turn, you get to draw 1 and trash 1 card from your hand. Then, by placing this Tamer as the bottom Digivolution card of one of your Digimon with Belphemon in its name, you delete your opponent's level 6 Digimon. So a lot of destructive abilities and effects when it comes to the whole combo package, and you can remove a whole lot of things, which is absolutely insane. And again, I'll show you guys how it all works when you synergize and put all the pieces all together when it comes to the combos. Then, for Memory Tamer, we actually play 1 choice of Matt. I also kind of want to play a bit more of this guy just because I can grab stuff back, and having a Memory Tamer is just really nice, although most purple decks don't require you to have Memory Tamers these days. But again, I just like being able to pick and choose a Digimon card that I may have trashed and grab it back. Grabbing Nidhogg, for example, really good, or grabbing a specific option back that I want to use again, really, really good card. For sure. That's it for all of our Tamers. Now let's get into options, and let's start off with our signature option of Belphemon's Rage Mode signature move, where we have Gift of Darkness. Now for 6 costs, its main effect is to delete one of your opponent's level 6 or higher Digimon. Then one of your Digimon may Digivolve into Belphemon Sleep Mode from your trash without paying the memory cost. Keep in mind, guys, this particular effect doesn't let you ignore Digivolution requirements. You still have to follow the normal procedures in order to Digivolve. Therefore, you can Digivolve Sleep Mode on top of Rage Mode if you need to, since it only does cost 1 to go on top of that. Otherwise, your other target can be your Astamon if your Astamon was never able to proc its on-play or when Digivolving effect and you had it sitting there prior. So this is really the whole goal of this particular card. It has a security effect, which is your security bomb. By trashing 1 Digimon card from your hand, you get to delete your opponent's Digimon whose level is less than or equal to the trash card. And ideally, you're going to be trashing your Rage Mode in most cases because you really want to be seeing it in the trash more so than anything. Therefore, this is just a really, really good clutch card to always have. Then, for other, option staples, really generic purple stuff. 2 copies of Purple Memory Boost, just a really good generic staple for most decks, essentially. Early playing it, you get to search your deck, search top 4 cards, grabbing a purple card, and then gaining memory with its delay is always just really nice. So very standard purple staple. Then to round off, another purple staple, definitely 1 copy of the Calling of Darkness. Just really good, again, to help you cycle back pieces that you need. Delete your own stuff. If you can't delete your own stuff, you have nothing to delete, you get to simply just grab 2 things back from your trash, is always value, and just a super good card for sure. That's it for the 50 card main deck. Now let's talk about other cards that you guys can be playing and including into this deck as tech choices, and there's actually a lot of them, which makes this deck super fun to play and sort of change it up when you're building it at all times. But there's going to be a lot of cards to go through, so please bear with me, but I do want to showcase you guys all these different cards. Now first and foremost, we have a bunch of level 4s and level 3s, and they're going to have a lot of important synergy when it comes to especially being with your Asamon's Inheritable, of letting you play a Digimon from your trash that's level 4 or lower when you trash a card during your opponent's turn. So these are some really good cards to talk about. First, we have Tapermon, which is more of a generic card that you can just play as an additional rookie to help you draw 1 with Undeletion. Not as useful when it comes to Asamon's sort of synergy, but then you have Impmon right here. Really good if you hard play for the memory if you need to, or otherwise being played by an effect for free. You get to trash 1 card from your hand, add 1 Digimon card with 7 Great Demon Lords back from your trash to your hand, which will probably be definitely be your Belphemon in particular because it is a 7th grade Demon Lords. Then we have Pokemon. Like I mentioned earlier, Floodgate Rookies are a huge weakness to this particular deck as it stops you from, reducing your play cost and going for your main combo. Therefore, Pokemon's on play effect and on deletion effect lets you delete one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. It is a level 4, it does cost 2, and therefore you'll always be hard playing for the 4 cost instead. And it also has the exact same inheritable as Fastgomon, where end of your opponent's turn once returned, you draw 1, trash 1. Then moving into more different level 4s, we definitely do have the standard blockers where we have Devimon and Vilemon right here. Again, with synergizing with Asamon's inheritable, when you do trash cards from your hand, you get to play level 4 lowers back. So by playing these blockers, you can disrupt your opponent's turn and game plan, especially if they're trying to go for a big swing move and help you prolong a turn, which is incredibly helpful. Playing one or the other is really based on your personal preference. Devimon is just cheaper to digivolve. Vilemon just has more DP. So again, play whichever you like to choose based on that. Then for more sort of like trap card type of things when it comes to level 4s of playing them during your opponent's turn, we have one Ogremon right here. On play, trash 1 card from your hand to delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So again, if they have like smaller Digimon on the board, you can pop it and again, surprise them for their game plans as well. Then for other level 4s, again, we got Dobermon right here. This one's not really as used to synergize with Asamon, but it does have really good effects when it comes to on deletion, trashing top 3 cards of your deck, adding 1 purple Digimon or Tamer card from your trash back to your hand so it can cycle pieces in the early stages of the game to help you find your resources, which is always really good. Then we have one Lowymon. We do play quite a handful of Tamers, especially when it comes to Akihiro, where we want to be playing it as often as we can. Therefore, having that particular card, we can sometimes go for hybrid for game, which is going to be nice as well to help us push. Then for some really cool spice, you guys can actually be playing a Gallantmon from BT13 in this particular build. Now, when you would play this Digimon card from your hand, if you have no Digimon, you get to reduce the play cost by 2 for every 5 total cards in both player trashes. And by doing so, it has Rush, it has On Play when Digivolving and when attacking effect, which all does the same thing. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less. If no Digimon was deleted by this effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 13,000 DP or more. Really clutch because you trash so many cards in this particular deck. You can rack it up very quickly so that you can play this for effectively much lower cost, sometimes 3, 5, or even 1, and immediately swing for game, which is definitely a huge surprise when it comes to, attacking your opponents for sure. Then we have one Omnimon Zord. Now, this card is very close to being in my main deck, and I do really want to find room to sort of fit it in. However, it's been kind of tough for me to find deck space, so I'm still trying to work on it, and I think this card is incredibly good. First and foremost, I just love this card artwork, one of my favorite cards of all time, just because of how cool it really looks, and I'm just super happy that this card is bringing back with its usage all the way back from BT5, Digivolving for 6, which is quite a lot on top of a level 6 black or purple. But what it does is when Digivolving, trash the top 3 cards of your deck, letting you play 2 black or purple Digimon from the trash with 8 play costs or less for free. And by doing so, you can either set up your Gizmons, you can go into an Astamon again, and then immediately combo and Digivolve into a Belphemon sleep mode. Again, cycling through your level 5s is super good with this card. It also has the secondary effect. When attacking, you get to return 1 level 6 Digimon card in this Digimon's Digivolution sources back to the owner's hand to delete one of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon with a play cost of 12 or less. So yeah, definitely want to be trying to fit this at least a 1-off in the main deck so you guys can see that this card is just incredibly clutch, incredibly powerful, and yeah, absolutely love this card for sure. Then for other reasons, you get, of course, Defx is always a good one. Has a lot of synergy when it comes to purple, of course, but just a very good generic staple you guys could include. You guys know how strong and powerful this card is against certain matchups. You can potentially play it for free, Digivolving 1, popping level 4s, and making it difficult for your opponent to play because at the end of the turn, they have to delete everything with the lowest play cost as well. Then for another Tamer card you guys can be playing is Analog Youth, just a very efficient card for most purple decks because it helps you searches, trashes cards, and put stuff that you need. And then you can sort of like gain a memory all turns when one of your level 5 or higher Digimon is deleted by suspending it, gaining a memory, and then also hatching an egg. However, I don't feel like the secondary effect is as useful for the Belphemon deck in particular, just because you're rarely going to be having a lot of Digivolution cards and sources that's level 5 or higher generally with the whole game plan. Therefore, I didn't choose to include this one, but still a decent one. Then we got for more option cards to definitely include Underworld's Call. Really good card because when this card is trashed from your hand, you get to trigger to draw 1 back, and then with its main effect, if you play it for 4 costs, you get to play 1 purple level 4 or lower from your trash for free, and then with a security effect, you can activate the main effect, which basically lets you play the level 4 or lower, so definitely kind of clutch as well. And then we also have Demonic Disaster. If you guys recognize and remember Belphemon Rage Mode's effect, it lets you unsuspend. And this exactly does the exact same thing for the one cost. You delete one of your own Digimon to unsuspend one of your purple Digimon so you can unsuspend your Belphemon, go for even more aggressive checks, and basically do even more attacks, which is absolutely insane with the combo and synergy. And with its security effect, lets you play one level 3 purple Digimon card from your trash for free, but you don't get any on-play effects in particular. But, you know, kind of nice. You can sometimes stop your opponents if you ever need to and give them a surprise if it ever comes up. Then last but not least, we have one Miss Memory Boost. Also really just good. Trashing 2 cards, drawing a card, again, helping you setting up cards and cycling through stuff. If you guys don't like Purple Memory Boost, you guys can definitely play Miss Memory Boost instead. So just a really good suggestion overall, but I prefer Purple Memory Boost in this particular case. Okay, that's it for all the cards I wanted to talk about with you guys. Now let's get into the how to play and combo segment of the video. Now, of course, let's see what your opening hand really wants to look like. Of course, you want to be seeing your standard level 3s, you know, Digivolving it, and ideally, you know, getting into your Gizmon Scatter mode is one of the most basic combos you want to be going into. Of course, otherwise, seeing your Gizmon package, you want to see the 3, 4s, and level 5 so you can climb up from them turn after turn with their particular effects. And there's basically 2 approaches for you to play the early stages of the game. So, of course, you have your egg. Now, let's also talk about what other cards, if you ever have like Purple Memory Boost, definitely play it to search and do all that kind of stuff. And let's just say if you go for the typical Gizmon package, you can just Digivolve into Gabumon, Digivolve into Scatter mode right here. Identify your matchups based on your Floodgate rookies. If you know your opponent gains a lot of memory, you definitely want to be saving your Gazimons in the mid game so that you can counter them. Same for Psychmon. If you know your opponent's reducing a lot of play costs, you want to do the same as well. But if you know that none of them play those kind of effects and don't capitalize off of it, I would just Digivolve it into Raising right away and then build my Gizmon Scatter mode just like that. Of course, typical package right here, just swing with Gizmon Scatter mode and continue to hope for it to be deleted and trash cards, draw cards at the same time. Cards you want to be really seeing will be your Nidhogg, your Belphemon Sleep mode mainly, and your Rage mode. Your Rage mode, you always want to be actually trashing it from your hand to set up in the trash so then you can bring it back and slide it underneath Sleep mode. And that's the whole idea, which I'll show you guys just in a bit. But let's just say in a different scenario, really cool. If you don't see this main package right here, then the Gizmon stuff works very nicely. Even if you're going first, you know, it's always ideal for this deck so then you can delete your Demi-Meramon immediately and play a Proto Gizmon by passing your opponent to 1 memory. And then on play, you get to draw 1 and trash 1. Keep in mind, these guys can't Digivolve, so it has a lot of synergy with their own inside archetype with the Gizmons. Then in your following turn, just say if you're at 1 memory or whatever, you know, then you can play your Gizmon AT by deleting your level 3 Digimon to reduce the cost by 4, so you only pay 2, and then immediately draw 2 and trash 1. And then with on deletion, your Proto Gizmon, if you have trashed enough cards, you can potentially play another AT back from your trash, which is actually a lot of value right here. But keep in mind, in the early stages of the game, you don't really get to do that. It's more sort of like a mid-game and late-game combo when you keep cycling them that way. So otherwise, you continue to sort of build your stack, and then eventually you delete the AT to reduce the play cost into your XT and making it 3 costs instead of its 9. And then right here, by trashing cards, eventually you want to be trashing your Akihiro so then you can play this for free. Ideally, you don't really want to pay the memory to play this card because it can set you back and slow you down. So the most optimal way is to play Gizmon XT and then play Akihiro for free. Once you establish Akihiro, you want to continue to draw and trash cards during your opponent's turn to again find your important cycle pieces. Belphemon Sleep mode, Rage mode, and your Nidhogg, and keep it in your hand as long as you can. And then like I mentioned earlier, Rage mode, you want to set it up and trash for your combos later on. Anytime with your Gizmon's effects, with their reduction play cost, you can synergize it a lot with your scattered mode. Let's just say your scattered mode swings in and it has jamming and whatnot, and then you can actually use Gizmon XT to delete your scattered mode to play it, and it has a lot of great synergy just like that. Then you get to draw more cards, trash more cards, and then with Gizmon XT, it's a 9K blocker, which is kind of beefy on the board just like that as well. So really nice. Sometimes don't be shy, just hard play your scatter mode if you have to as well. If you can't Digivolve it, you don't necessarily need to, because scatter mode itself gives you a lot of value just by doing so. So interchange and combo and synergize with your Gizmon XT and your scatter mode combos in between. Now, there's 2 ways to get into your Belphemon Sleep mode. Now, the ideal way is to reduce its play cost with Akihiro and your Gizmon XT. You want to have a Gizmon XT on the board so that you can use Akihiro's effect. Let's just say you're at 1 memory, delete Gizmon XT to play Belphemon Sleep mode for 2 costs because it reduces it by 9. Keep in mind, you can also delete your Proto Gizmon and your ATs, but again, ideally, you know, Gizmon XT will be the most memory efficient way to do it. Sleep mode comes out. Sleep mode is gonna then tuck in a Rage mode underneath, just like that.
You pass your opponent's turn, then they're going to do a whole bunch of things, and they're going to try to attack you if they can't target sleep mode for any effects, so it can't be affected, can't be deleted, and DP reduced and all that, stunned or whatever, which is really, really nice. And therefore, if they ever try to attack it with raid or any unsuspending attacking effects, this is when you get to use sleep mode to trash cards from your hand. So ideally, you can trash Belphemon rage mode, or otherwise what you want to be trashing is as many Gizmons as you can, because then it continues to cycle. Now, keep in mind, there's another combo that I forgot to mention earlier, is that Gizmon XT will then let you play Proto Gizmon back. So you're always constantly having an extra body to continue the cycle. Proto Gizmon on play activates again, draw one, trash one. If your opponent ever deletes it, then you get to cycle an AT back and repeat the process again and again, which is absolutely amazing. Now, again, like I mentioned, if they attack, you negate the attack, and then sometimes if you ever have Nidhoggmon, surprise, surprise, you trash this card from your hand, gain a memory just like that, and disrupt their turn, which is super nice. And if you ever, if your opponent ever played bunch of stuff, and then you potentially pass yourself back to 1, that's just ultimate value. And then with Akihiro's end of turn effects, you have 2 things that go on at the same time. Now, you draw 1 and trash 1, and then you will get to slide this underneath. And also at the same time, Belphemon Rage Mode is going to come out by trashing it Sleep Mode. And now, right here, you get to delete your opponent's level 6 Digimon with Akihiro. Now, keep in mind, you don't always have to do it. You can just trash draw 1 and trash 1, and then just keep it there if there's nothing to delete. But by placing it under, you get to delete. Now, once it comes back to your turn, you draw for turn, you hatch your egg, you do all your other combos, and at the start of your main phase right here, Belphemon Rage Mode is going to activate, deleting all your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. And then, this is why it's really crucial to keep your hand at 6 or less. By keeping it at 6 or less, you will get the secondary buff of extra 3000 DP and security +1. This is a kind of unusual purple deck, because with purple decks, usually you want to be drawing as many cards and trashing as many cards, and eventually you might have a lot of cards in your hand. For Belphemon specifically, you want to have less cards in your hand. The lesser you have, the better it is for you, because it's going to synergize with this combo. So it's very important for you to use Sleep Mode to trash cards from your hand again, and the more cards you trash, the better it is for you to set up. So yeah, again, like I mentioned, really important to be 6 or lower. So then now, you do your other combos and whatnot, you can swing with Rage Mode. This is why the Gizmon Synergy package is just so important for this deck, because it always makes sure that you have a body on the board for you to pop, so then you can unspend Rage Mode afterwards. Now, otherwise, if you want to go a little bit more aggressive and be more optimistic or optimal and efficient, I would actually even swing with the Proto Gizmon right here. If it gets deleted, that's totally fine, because as long as I make sure that I have enough Gizmons, I can play the AT back. So let's just say I cycle back 2 Proto Gizmons, right, with his Undeletion effect. You can actually even cycle back the exact same Proto Gizmon that got deleted, as long as you can fulfill the requirement to play this one right there. So keep in mind, you always have to cycle 2 and play 1. And then with the Gizmon AT out here right now, you can just hang that an extra body. So then you make your initial swing with Belphemon, 2 checks, 17, and then at the end of the attack, delete your Gizmon AT, and then you get to unsuspend right here. Gizmon AT's effects are going to activate. So by putting like 1 or 2, let's just say let's put these 2, then we get to play Proto Gizmon XT right here. So you guys can see, as you're cycling back to the bottom of your cards, back to your deck, Belphemon gets to continue to swing just like that. And of course, use your rookies and use your other Digimon in the early stages of games to chip away your opponent's security to set up lethal, so that when Rage Mode comes out, you can basically just go for those lethal attacks and combos. Anytime when you have multiple Akihiros as well, keep in mind that when you tuck it under, you can pop multiple level 6s with it. Because, with every individual Akihiro, you get to stack it over and over again. Now, if you have another Akihiro right here, then really great, because then you can set up for another Sleep Mode, delete this Gizmon, and play Sleep Mode for 2, and then tuck in another Rage Mode underneath right here, and then basically continue it like that. Or you can even Digivolve another Sleep Mode on top of your Rage Mode, like this too, passing for 1 memory, just like that. And that's how you want to cycle and continue combos with the Belphemon Rage Mode to Sleep Mode, and rinse and repeat. And then you basically have such a strong body on the board that's super difficult to take out. And that's basically how you win games with this deck. That'll wrap up for the deck profile for today. If you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please give it a like. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, or questions, be sure to share it with everyone in the comments down below. Once again, be sure to subscribe and turn on that notification bell to stay tuned for more BT13 content. If you guys just can't wait and want to see early deck lists and first drafts, then once again, definitely join the Avault Club. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video, and this is Avault signing out.